lose hope even through the most difficult and trying of circumstances. Hadith which I just mentioned, it highlights this. And I'd just like to go through it bit by bit. Keep in mind that we don't have much time because the Asr time comes in very quickly nowadays, so my khutbah is going to be quite short. So we'll try to summarize as much as possible and finish as quickly as we can within the time frame we have. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-mu'minu al-qawiyyu khayrun wa ahabbu ila Allahi min al-mu'min al-da'if." The strong mu'min is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak believer. And when we say strong, it can mean physically strong, but the majority of the scholars refer to this strength that is mentioned here as an inner strength, an optimism, conviction, not to lose hope, to remain optimistic, not to become pessimistic. This is what al-mu'min al-qawi is referring to. And then at the end of the hadith we'll see that in fact this is the focus of the hadith itself. So the hadith goes on to say, وَفِي كُلٍّ خَيْرٍ. In every believer there's khair. Whether a person is weak or strong, every believer has some form of khair in him. So if a person doesn't have these qualities, we should not look down upon him or belittle him. Everyone has different temperaments, everyone has a different way of dealing with things, so we should not look down upon that person. وَفِي كُلٍّ خَيْرٍ. The hadith then goes on to say, احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز. Be eager for those things that will benefit you, not just beneficial for this world, but those that are beneficial for the hereafter. And when a person his sole focus is the hereafter, then the bumps in his life and the difficulties that he has to deal with, they become temporary bumps in the road of the life that he is about to leave anyway. And that is why in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that on the Day of Judgment, there will be two kinds of people. One will be the person who will have enjoyed every single aspect of this life in terms of financial independence and in terms of having every type of material benefit that he could have had. And then there will be another person who had so much difficulty in his life, so much that he had to endure in his life, always oppressed, always out of a job, always in financial difficulties. So the first person, he will get a taste of the hellfire for a millisecond. And then he will be asked that, did you enjoy anything in your worldly life? That taste of the hellfire for a millisecond will be enough for him to forget all of the pleasures that he enjoyed in the world. Then on the other hand, the person who had so much difficulty in his life, he'll be exposed to Jannah, paradise, for a millisecond. And then he will be asked that, did you have any kind of difficulty in your life? He will reply, La wallahi, I didn't have any type of difficulty in my life. That 1 second of exposure or even a millisecond of exposure to the Jannah will make him forget all of the tortures that he had to endure in his very, very difficult and arduous life. So this is how temporary this life is and how fleeting this life is. So when a person is focusing his concentration on the hereafter, then the worldly life becomes, it becomes secondary to him. And the hadith says, وَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. Seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always. When a person goes through difficulty, he should always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek help through sabr, patience, persistence, perseverance, and through salat. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And this focus, it is difficult except for those people that have khushu' in their lives. Those people that are submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a focal point of their lives. It is easy for them to turn to Allah when things get difficult for them. Otherwise, there are mental blocks that a person has. I am not even praying my 5 times daily salat. How can I raise my hand to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make dua to Him? I am committing sins on a daily basis. How can I raise my hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I'm committing these sins? This is the mindset that a person has. So instead of stopping the sins that a person is committing, and instead of observing the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he is supposed to, instead he is digging deeper, digging himself deeper into the quicksand of disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not even asking Allah and making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he is going through difficulty, even though this is a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ أُدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Your Lord says, "Udu'uni, make dua to me, astajib lakum, I will respond to you." So, when we are going through difficulty, the first turning point in our lives should be always to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our first attention should always be to salat. Our first attention should always be to dua. Our first attention should be always to make istighfar, to seek forgiveness for the mistakes that we make, which are resulting in the trials and tribulations of this world. The hadith goes on to say, وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. Do not lose hope. Do not become ajiz. Do not become despondent. Meaning, remain optimistic. Don't become pessimistic. Keep this optimism in your life. Keep a positive attitude in your life. Do not think that the whole world is against you. Do not use your own weakness. Do not use other people as an excuse for your own weakness. This is what we are supposed to do. Always continue to do whatever we can in terms of action, and then turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the results. The hadith goes on to say, وَإِنْ أَصَابَكَ شَيْءٌ فَلَا تَقُلْ لَوْ أَنِّي فَعَلْتُ كَانَ كَذَا وَكَذَا. Do not say, if you're afflicted with any problem, if you have any kind of difficulty, that if I had done such and such a thing, then such and such a thing would have happened. If I had gone to such and such a doctor, then the life of my loved one would have been spared. He would have been cured. If I had given him such and such a medication, then he would not have died, or she would not have died. This low, if I had done this and this, and I had taken this step and that step, this is something that we should never dwell upon. This makes a person despondent and makes him lose hope, and makes him ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will never get closure in his life. There's a big word in the West, closure. Closure meaning that you basically close this chapter in your life and then move on from that difficulty that you had to endure, that loss that you had to endure. When a person is always dwelling on these types of things, then he will never get closure in his life. So, what are we supposed to say, and what are we supposed to do? The hadith goes on to say, وَلَكِنْ قُلْ قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. Say that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, and whatever He did, whatever He wanted, He did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained something, and whatever He wanted, He did it. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this sentence is such a powerful statement. And this is one of the secrets that a believer has to get closure in his life, to get peace in his life, to be able to sleep at night. قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. Otherwise, if a person doesn't attribute everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he will continuously be in a state of depression and hopelessness. He will lose sleep at night because he lost his job. And he will try to find excuses for difficulties that are going on in his life. He will blame other people for problems that are occurring in his life, other than turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, closing that episode in his life and moving on. This is what a person should be doing, and the best way to do that is to say, قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained it, and whatever He wanted, He did. I could not have done anything about it. The whole world could not have done anything about it, and therefore I need to just move on with my life. So there are certain steps that we should do when we are thinking about these things. First of all, there's another hadith that I'd like to mention. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تكونوا إمعة تقولون. Don't become imma'a. Imma'a means those people that don't have any kind of mindset of their own. They don't have any kind of opinion of their own. They basically just follow the way the wind blows. If the wind is blowing north, they blow north. If the wind is blowing south, they blow south. And this is in terms of their deeds. The hadith goes on to say, in ahsan an-nas ahsanna. If people do good, then we'll do good to them. This is found in so many cultures. That person, he's been good to our family, make sure you're good to him. That person, he turned up at our wedding, make sure you go to his wedding. That person, he gave us a very big gift last time, make sure you give him a very good gift. This is tit for tat, this is exchanging. This is not ikram, this is not ihsan, this is not doing good, this is not being benevolent. This is simply doing what other people are doing to you. So, in ahsan an-nas ahsanna, what is the good in that? If people are doing good to us, we will do good to them. وَإِنْ ظَلَمُوا ظَلَمْنَا. And if they do dhulm, then we would do dhulm. Again, what is the good in that? If people are doing bad to us, if they are oppressing us, we should, as they say, turn the other cheek or take the higher road and be the better person and be forgiving and be tolerant. The hadith goes on to say, وَلَكِنْ وَطِّنُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنْ أَحْسَنَ النَّاسِ أَن تُحْسِنُوا وَإِنْ أَسَاءُوا فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا. That if people do, وَطِّنُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ means fortify yourself, strengthen yourself, have a strong character. If people do bad, if people do good, then obviously you should be doing good and more good to them. But if they do bad, then you should not become an oppressor. You should not do dhulm upon people that have done bad to you. How do we attain this inner strength? There's a hadith, there's an ayat of the Quran, Hud alayhi salatu wasalam was mentioning to his people. He said, وَيَا قَوْمِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا وَيَزِدْكُمْ قُوَّةً إِلَى قُوَّتِكُمْ وَلَا تَتَوَلَّوْا مُجْرِمِينَ. O my people, seek forgiveness from your Lord and turn to Him, make tawbah to Him. What will be the result of that? Firstly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you rizq, sustenance. He is going to give you rainfall, which is going to fall continuously. يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا. And then the second thing, the point of our khutbah, وَيَزِدْكُمْ قُوَّةً إِلَى قُوَّتِكُمْ. Making istighfar and turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it strengthens a person from inside. It strengthens his character. It makes him strong. It makes him a firm believer. It puts his conviction in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, we have to get the tawakkul and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely. As the hadith said earlier, ista'in billahi wa la ta'jaz. Trust, complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what we should be aiming for and putting in our lives. Tawakkul basically means to take all the necessary steps that we can in this world and then trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will fix the thing for you that you are trying to get. This is what tawakkul is, and that by itself requires a khutbah on its own. I don't want to go into that into too much detail. The third thing we should be doing is making a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a specific dua. It's narrated that the Prophet ﷺ once saw a Sahabi. He was sitting in the masjid and it wasn't the time of salat. it was an odd time of the day for somebody to be in the masjid. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, Ya fulan, mali araka tajlis fil masjid fi ghayri waqti salah. Aw kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam, what's up with you? I'm seeing you in the masjid and you are sitting in the masjid at an odd time of the day when it's not even salah time. What's the problem? And usually we see many people that are going through difficulty. Sometimes they'll just come to the masjid to pray 2 rak'ah and just get some solace. So the Prophet ﷺ was told by this Sahabi, Ya Rasulullah, I'm overburdened by debt, I'm in difficulty, so that's why I came to the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ said, I'll give you the solution to that. Read this dua all the time. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-'ajzi wal-kasl wal-jubni wal-bukhl wa a'udhu bika min ghalabati ad-dayn wa qahri rijal. It's a beautiful dua which basically covers all of the inner weaknesses that a person could have. Hammi wal-hazan, basically worry and grief. Allah, I seek your refuge from worry and grief. And I seek your refuge from cowardliness and stinginess. Again, inner illnesses that we have. To be a coward and to be stingy. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ غَلَبَةِ الدَّيْنِ وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ. And I seek your refuge from being overpowered by debt. Again, this makes a person weak. It makes him weak as a person, and it makes him weak in front of the person that he owes money to. وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ. And from being overpowered by men, by being overpowered by people. So this beautiful dua, we should try to implement it in our lives, and that will result in the removal of these inner weaknesses that we have. And finally, we should not get hung up on previous mistakes that we made. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone goes through difficulties in their lives. Everyone makes a decision that they regret later. But if we get hung up on them, then we can never move on with our lives. And this is basically what the end of the hadith said, which I've mentioned already. And finally, I'd like to quote a verse, which is the verse which talks about the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, how they used to address the people that were fighting against them. They said, وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانَا سُبُلَنَا وَلَنَصْبِرَنَّ عَلَى مَا آذَيْتُمُونَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُتَوَكِّلُونَ. Why should we not have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us to our ways? And most certainly we'll have sabr on the harm that you're trying to give us. And only on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should the believers have tawakkul. This is the type of attitude that we are supposed to have, the attitude of the strong-willed Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam that went through the hardest and the most difficult of circumstances in their lives, with their families, with their communities. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them out of their difficulty ultimately. This is the attitude that we're supposed to have. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to understand and practice what has been said and heard. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، قال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد من صلى وصام. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد من قعد وقام. وصل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى الملائكة المقربين وعلى عباد الله الصالحين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أذل الشرك والمشركين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا معهم. اللهم انصرنا ولا تنصر علينا. اللهم امكر لنا ولا تمكر علينا. اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا. اللهم آتنا ولا تحرمنا. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار. آمين يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العلي الجليل يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وأكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة.